Never tell people about your weakness, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I want to talk about something powerful, something that has the ability to transform the way you see yourself and the way you interact with the world. And that is the simple yet profound truth. Never tell people about your weakness. Now, I know this might seem like a bold statement. You might be thinking, but isn't it important to be honest, to show vulnerability? And while vulnerability has its place, it's important to understand that your strength lies in how you carry yourself, how you maintain your inner power, and how you protect your mind and spirit. When you expose your weaknesses too openly, when you place them on display for the world to see, you give away your power, and let me tell you, your power is precious. It's something that should be guarded, nurtured, and only shared with those who have earned the right to witness it. Weaknesses, when handled improperly, can become anchors. They can weigh you down and stop you from achieving the heights you are destined for. Think about the most successful people you admire, the ones who have stood tall through adversity. What do they have in common? They know how to protect their vulnerabilities. They don't wear them on their sleeves, and they certainly don't let others define them by their challenges. Instead, they use their resilience, their strength, their intelligence, and their belief in themselves to navigate the world. You see, there's a beautiful thing that happens when you choose to keep your weaknesses to yourself. You open the door to your own growth. You don't let external voices shape your perception of what you're capable of. Instead, you focus inward, on how to overcome, on how to rise above, and how to transform what might seem like a weakness into your greatest strength. Never let anyone have the chance to diminish you by highlighting what you perceive as your flaws. If you're willing to stand tall, to put your best foot forward, people will start seeing you for your strength, your courage, your resilience. They'll begin to admire the way you carry yourself, not the moments of doubt or insecurity that you've overcome, but the quiet determination that allows you to move forward despite them. So, remember this. Your worth is not defined by your weaknesses. Your worth is defined by your strength. And the moment you decide to protect that, whether by choosing silence in the face of doubt or by channeling your energy into your personal growth, you will find that there is nothing in this world that can hold you back. Be strong, be fierce, and remember, the most powerful thing you can do is keep your weaknesses to yourself and let your strengths shine. When we talk about protecting your inner power, we are addressing something far more profound than simply avoiding showing vulnerability. It's about understanding that your emotional and mental well-being is a resource, something valuable, something precious. You wouldn't just hand over your most prized possession to someone you don't trust, right? Well, your inner strength and resilience are no different. These qualities are what define your true potential, your ability to push through adversity, and your ability to create success in your life. So, why would you give that away freely by constantly exposing your weaknesses? There's something incredibly powerful in the way we present ourselves to the world. Every time you open up about your weaknesses or your struggles, there's a subtle shift that occurs. People begin to see you not as the powerful individual that you are, but as someone defined by their vulnerabilities. It's human nature to connect with others' pain or challenges, but when you consistently share your weaknesses, you invite others to focus on those aspects instead of your strengths, your potential, and what you're truly capable of. Your inner power lies in your ability to control what you reveal about yourself and when you reveal it. When you're constantly showing your vulnerabilities, you open yourself up to judgment, both from others and, perhaps more dangerously, from within. People may not always mean to harm you, but the world has a way of magnifying the things we reveal. Once others see you in a vulnerable state, they may only focus on your imperfections and forget about your strengths. This can erode your self-confidence, and over time, you may start to view yourself through the same lens as others. That's a dangerous cycle to get caught in because it allows outside influences to dictate how you perceive your own worth. Instead of exposing your weaknesses, it's far more empowering to keep them to yourself. This doesn't mean that you suppress them or pretend they don't exist. No, acknowledging your weaknesses and being aware of them is important. But there's a difference between recognizing your flaws and showcasing them for the world to see. The act of revealing weaknesses doesn't serve you. It serves the narrative others build around you. And in doing so, you lose the ability to dictate your own story. Imagine the most successful and powerful people you know or admire. Do they walk around showcasing their vulnerabilities for everyone to see? No, they are selective about what they reveal. They understand that their inner power is a resource to be carefully guarded. They have learned to focus on their strengths, to protect their confidence, and to share their struggles only with people who have earned the right to see those parts of them. This is not about building walls or becoming emotionally closed-off. It's about maintaining a sense of control over what others know and how they perceive you. It's about protecting your most precious resource, your power to overcome, your power to grow, and your power to rise above whatever life throws at you. When you reveal your weaknesses too openly, it can become easy for others to take advantage of your openness. Some people might use your vulnerabilities against you, consciously or unconsciously. It might not always be malicious, but it's natural for people to take cues from how we present ourselves. If you tell the world about every insecurity, every doubt, or every challenge, you are giving them the opportunity to see you as someone less capable, less strong, or less resilient. That's not a message you want to send, especially to those who might not have your best interests at heart. Keeping your weaknesses close protects you from being undermined by those who don't truly understand the depth of your character. In protecting your inner power, you also give yourself the space to rise above those weaknesses. By not continuously broadcasting them to the world, you focus more on the solutions. Instead of being bogged down by the things that hold you back, you become empowered to look for ways to overcome them. This is the essence of true resilience. It's not about pretending to be perfect or ignoring your flaws. It's about knowing that, despite your weaknesses, you have the strength to push forward, to learn, to evolve, and to transform. In times of difficulty, when we feel vulnerable, we can be tempted to lean into our weaknesses as a way of seeking validation or sympathy from others. We want others to understand our struggles, to feel sorry for us, to reassure us that everything will be okay. While seeking support from others is necessary, there's a fine line between seeking validation and becoming dependent on others' perceptions of our struggles. Constantly sharing our weaknesses can inadvertently create a cycle of seeking reassurance rather than trusting in our own ability to navigate life's challenges. It can lead to a sense of helplessness rather than empowerment. On the other hand, when we keep our weaknesses to ourselves, we maintain a sense of self-reliance. We don't seek validation from others because we know, deep down, that we are capable of overcoming whatever obstacles come our way. This sense of inner confidence can be a powerful tool for transformation. It shifts the focus from "I am struggling" to "I am learning, growing, and becoming stronger." The moment you decide to protect your weaknesses is the moment you begin to protect your future, your success, and your sense of self-worth. In the end, protecting your inner power doesn't mean you hide who you are or deny your flaws. It means you have the wisdom to understand that your weaknesses are only a part of your story. They don't define you. What defines you is how you choose to face them, how you choose to learn from them, and how you rise above them. When you safeguard your vulnerabilities, you allow your true strength to shine. You allow the world to see not just the parts of you that are broken, but the parts that are unshakable, resilient, and capable of greatness. Protect your inner power and let the world see the unstoppable force that you truly are. When you choose to keep your weaknesses to yourself, you are granting yourself the opportunity to focus on your personal growth. In doing so, you no longer place unnecessary energy into explaining or defending your struggles. Instead, you create space for transformation and improvement. The moment you decide not to share every aspect of your vulnerability, you reclaim control over how you experience challenges and how you move through them. The idea behind this is simple but powerful. Instead of letting your weaknesses define you, you allow them to become stepping stones toward your growth and resilience. Growth is an ongoing process. It's about evolution, moving from where you are to where you want to be. The constant exposure of your weaknesses can hinder that process. When we repeatedly highlight what we consider to be our flaws, we become fixated on them. This can paralyze us. Instead of actively working toward overcoming challenges, we become trapped in a cycle of self-doubt, negativity, and defeat. Every time we talk about how difficult something is or how much we're struggling, we reinforce the idea that we are weak, helpless, or incapable of finding a solution. In contrast, when we choose not to share our vulnerabilities openly, we free ourselves from this cycle and focus our attention on moving forward. By keeping weaknesses to yourself, you make room for self-reflection. You allow yourself the mental and emotional space to process the challenges you face without external distractions. Often, when we express our weaknesses, we seek sympathy or validation. We want others to acknowledge our pain or our struggle, which can sometimes offer temporary relief. However, this relief is fleeting. It doesn't address the root cause of the issue. Instead of receiving validation from others, which might only serve to comfort you in the moment, focusing on your personal growth allows you to develop the skills and resilience needed to overcome those challenges independently. You become your own source of strength rather than relying on others to make you feel better. This internal growth process involves recognizing and acknowledging your weaknesses in a more constructive way. It's not about denying your flaws, it's about reframing your perspective. When you keep your vulnerabilities to yourself, you have the opportunity to ask yourself, how can I learn from this? How can I improve? You begin to shift your focus away from what's wrong to what's possible. You allow your weaknesses to become the catalyst for change rather than something that holds you back. It's about using the lessons that your vulnerabilities offer to build a stronger, more capable version of yourself. Furthermore, keeping your weaknesses to yourself fosters emotional resilience. Every time you face a challenge without making it the focal point of a conversation, you are building your ability to persevere. Emotional resilience is the ability to bounce back from difficult situations, to remain strong in the face of adversity. The more you practice overcoming obstacles without leaning on others for constant reassurance, the stronger your emotional foundation becomes. You develop the ability to handle adversity with a sense of calm, confidence, and determination. Your weaknesses, once kept private, no longer control you. They are simply part of your journey, and you have the strength to navigate them. When we share our struggles too openly, we risk becoming emotionally dependent on the responses of others. We might unintentionally seek constant affirmation or validation that we're doing okay, that we'll be fine, or that things will improve. But true growth comes from learning to navigate difficulties on your own. You learn to trust in your ability to handle challenges. By keeping your weaknesses private, you remove the need for others' constant reassurance. You become less reliant on external opinions and more focused on developing your own solutions. This is the essence of growth, learning that you are capable of handling life's challenges without needing someone else to validate your ability to persevere. Personal growth also involves becoming self-aware. It requires a deep understanding of who you are, how you think, and how you respond to different situations. When you keep your weaknesses to yourself, you have the chance to truly examine them. You start to recognize patterns in your behavior or thought processes that might be holding you back. This self-awareness is the first step toward change. By observing how you respond to difficulties without the influence of others, you gain insight into the areas where you need to grow. You develop the ability to shift your mindset, alter your reactions, and approach challenges from a place of strength rather than weakness. The more you focus on growth rather than weakness, the more you transform your mindset. Instead of seeing every struggle as a sign of failure, you start to see each obstacle as an opportunity for improvement. This shift is not immediate, and it's not always easy. It requires commitment to personal development and a willingness to work through discomfort. But once you make the decision to stop focusing on your vulnerabilities, you can begin to see the world differently. You start to recognize the possibilities in every challenge, the lessons hidden within every setback. Your weaknesses no longer hold you back. They become tools for growth. When you choose to focus on personal growth rather than constantly discussing your weaknesses, you give yourself the power to create lasting change in your life. You stop being defined by your struggles and start being defined by your ability to rise above them. Your weaknesses no longer become a source of shame or self-doubt. Instead, they become part of your story, a story of perseverance, learning, and resilience. You realize that growth is not a linear process. It's filled with ups and downs, setbacks and triumphs. But as long as you keep moving forward, focusing on improvement rather than dwelling on your flaws, you will continue to evolve into the person you are meant to be. In the end, personal growth is about shifting your focus from what you can't do to what you can do. It's about seeing your weaknesses not as insurmountable obstacles, but as stepping stones on the path to your best self. By keeping your weaknesses to yourself, you give yourself the time, space, and energy to grow. You stop letting your vulnerabilities define you and start allowing your strengths to lead the way. This is the power of focusing on growth, not just as a concept, but as a way of life. Every challenge, every setback, becomes an opportunity to move closer to the person you are meant to become. And that person is unstoppable. When we talk about not letting others define us by our weaknesses, we're addressing a fundamental truth. How people see us is often influenced by what we choose to show them. This can be a difficult concept to grasp because, as human beings, we're naturally social creatures. We seek validation and understanding from others, and in doing so, we may unintentionally expose aspects of ourselves that we'd rather keep hidden. However, there is a profound power in maintaining control over how others perceive you. By choosing not to share your weaknesses openly, you prevent others from using them to define you. Instead, you allow your strength, resilience, and abilities to take center stage. It's important to understand that how others perceive you is shaped not only by what you show them, but also by what they assume based on those revelations. For example, if you repeatedly highlight your insecurities or limitations, people may start to focus on those aspects of you rather than your abilities, your successes, or your strengths. It's a natural human tendency to categorize people based on the information they have. When that information is dominated by weaknesses, it creates an impression of who you are. Others may begin to see you as fragile, incapable, or less competent, even if that's not the full picture of who you are. This is why it's so crucial to be intentional about what you reveal and what you keep to yourself. When we talk about others defining us, we're talking about a process of external labeling. Once you share a weakness or vulnerability, people can form opinions based on that information, and those opinions can stick. This doesn't mean that they are necessarily judging you harshly or that their perceptions are entirely negative. It simply means that their understanding of you becomes shaped by the narrative you've shared. If you want to be known for your strength, your perseverance, and your intelligence, it's essential that these qualities are what people focus on, not your weaknesses. By keeping those vulnerabilities private, you ensure that your true self, the person you strive to be, and the person you know yourself to be, remains at the forefront. At the same time, it's crucial to remember that people's perceptions are also influenced by their own experiences, biases, and assumptions. Sometimes they may not fully understand the complexities of your life. They might see only the surface and form conclusions based on incomplete or skewed information. This is why it's so important to manage what you share and when you share it. It's not about being dishonest or hiding who you are. It's about protecting your narrative. You want to ensure that the story others tell about you is one that aligns with the person you are becoming, not the one they might mistakenly create based on a few moments of vulnerability. Another powerful aspect of not letting others define you by your weaknesses is that it prevents people from underestimating you. When you reveal too much about your struggles, others may start to believe that you're not capable of handling challenges. They may not expect you to rise above adversity, and that can work against you. However, by choosing to keep your weaknesses private, you maintain an air of mystery and strength. People begin to respect you for your ability to move through difficult situations without making them public. They begin to see you as someone who is capable of handling whatever comes your way without needing to rely on others' opinions or validation. This perception is crucial because it allows you to move through the world with confidence, knowing that you are in control of how others see you. This is not about building a wall around yourself or presenting a false version of who you are. It's about recognizing that you have control over the narrative people create about you. Everyone has weaknesses. Nobody is perfect. The key is not to let those weaknesses become the focal point of your identity. When you keep your vulnerabilities to yourself, you give people the chance to see you for your strengths. You allow them to notice your intelligence, your work ethic, your kindness, and your resilience, rather than fixating on the things you're working to improve. This approach also allows you to take responsibility for your own self-perception. When you constantly expose your weaknesses, you risk internalizing others' perceptions of you. You might begin to believe the narrative they have constructed, which can erode your self-esteem. By choosing to control the image you project, you protect your self-worth. You stop letting external judgments influence how you feel about yourself. Instead, you cultivate a sense of self, confidence that comes from within. You no longer rely on others' approval to feel good about who you are. At the core of this idea is the belief that your worth is not tied to your weaknesses. We all have areas where we fall short, but those areas don't define us. What defines us is how we respond to those weaknesses, how we grow from them, and how we continue to push forward despite the challenges we face. By keeping your weaknesses to yourself, you give yourself the space to do the work of growth without the burden of others' opinions weighing you down. When people focus on your strengths, they are more likely to treat you with the respect and admiration you deserve. They'll see you as someone who is capable, reliable, and strong. This not only benefits how you are perceived in the professional world, but also enhances your personal relationships. People are drawn to those who exude confidence, resilience, and strength. And when you manage how others perceive you, you increase the chances of building meaningful, respectful connections. In relationships, whether personal or professional, we all want to feel seen and respected for who we truly are. When we allow others to focus too much on our weaknesses, we risk being seen as less than we are. We risk having our value reduced to our flaws. By keeping those weaknesses to yourself, you ensure that the people who interact with you see the whole picture. They see someone who is complex, resilient, and capable of growth. They see you for who you are becoming, not for the struggles you face in the moment. Ultimately, not letting others define you by your weaknesses is about taking control of your narrative. You are the author of your own story, and you deserve to be seen for the person you are striving to become. When you keep your vulnerabilities to yourself, you not only protect your self-esteem, but also empower others to recognize your strengths and abilities. You allow your true character to shine through and make a lasting impact on those around you. In doing so, you preserve your power and ensure that no one else can ever define you by anything other than the incredible person you are. When we consider the importance of protecting your inner power, one crucial aspect is the space it creates for you to rise above challenges. Life is filled with obstacles, difficulties, and moments where we feel our vulnerabilities the most. Yet, it is precisely in these moments that we have the potential to demonstrate our strength. The decision to keep your weaknesses to yourself doesn't mean avoiding challenges or pretending they don't exist. Rather, it means choosing to not let your weaknesses define you in the eyes of others, or, more importantly, in your own eyes. By choosing to rise above, you create a foundation for not just survival, but growth and success in all areas of life. We all face struggles, whether in personal relationships, at work, or within ourselves. It's inevitable that we will encounter obstacles that test our resilience and our character. But when we constantly focus on or share our weaknesses, we risk getting trapped in a cycle of defeat. Each time we talk about our challenges, we reinforce them in our minds. We give them more power than they deserve. Instead of allowing our vulnerabilities to define the narrative of our lives, we should focus on using them as opportunities for growth and transformation. This mindset shift is critical because it empowers us to not only face difficulties, but to overcome them in ways that strengthen us for the future. By choosing not to reveal every weakness, you create a space for self-reflection, where you can analyze your struggles without the influence of others' opinions. Often, when we share our difficulties with others, we seek reassurance, empathy, or support. While this is natural, it can sometimes lead to a dependency on external validation. We might look to others for the comfort and answers we're capable of finding within ourselves. When you keep your weaknesses private, you eliminate the temptation to rely on others for emotional support. Instead, you create an internal space where you can process your emotions, gain clarity, and formulate strategies to move forward on your own terms. This independence in dealing with struggles not only strengthens your resilience, but also cultivates self-confidence. You begin to trust your ability to solve problems, overcome hurdles, and emerge stronger. The act of rising above your weaknesses is also about control over how you perceive yourself and how others perceive you. People often view vulnerability as a form of weakness. They may not consciously intend to define you solely by your vulnerabilities, but it's a natural human tendency to focus on what we share with others. When we expose our weaknesses too openly, we risk being seen through that lens, and this can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more we focus on our flaws and difficulties, the more they define us in the eyes of others and ourselves. By maintaining control over what you share, you allow others to see the qualities in you that matter most: strength, determination, and the ability to persevere in the face of adversity. Rising above your weaknesses also involves taking action to improve and grow. It means acknowledging that, yes, we all have areas of struggle, but we are not defined by them. We are defined by how we respond to those struggles. Do we let them overwhelm us, or do we use them as stepping stones to something greater? When you decide not to dwell on your weaknesses, you are committing to personal growth. You are choosing to take proactive steps toward becoming the best version of yourself. This mindset doesn't allow room for self-pity or constant regret. Instead, it inspires you to look for solutions, adapt, and become more resourceful in overcoming challenges. Every difficulty becomes an opportunity for improvement, and every failure a lesson in resilience. One of the most powerful aspects of this concept is the idea that rising above challenges allows us to create our own narrative. Every person has a story, but not every person has control over how their story is told. Often, we are defined by the experiences and struggles we face, especially when we openly share them. It's not that there is anything wrong with being open and vulnerable. It's about being intentional with what you reveal and when you reveal it. When you share your weaknesses too freely, you risk becoming the sum of your struggles. You risk allowing others to define your worth based on what's going wrong rather than what's going right. By choosing to rise above your weaknesses, you control the direction of your narrative. You shape your own identity, not as someone struggling with weaknesses, but as someone who faces challenges with courage, learns from them, and emerges victorious. This decision to rise above also has the incredible effect of building a positive, forward-thinking mindset. When you focus too much on your weaknesses, you can get stuck in the past, constantly revisiting what went wrong or how you failed. But when you choose to rise above your weaknesses, you shift your attention towards solutions and future possibilities. You stop dwelling on what didn't work and instead focus on what you can do differently next time. This mindset fosters a sense of hope, optimism, and confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Instead of feeling defeated by past failures, you feel empowered to face future challenges, knowing that you have the strength to overcome them. You start to see setbacks as part of the process, not as an indication of your inability to succeed. Moreover, this approach allows you to be more compassionate with yourself. When we constantly highlight our weaknesses, we tend to be hard on ourselves. We focus on our shortcomings, criticize ourselves, and forget to recognize the strength it takes to continue moving forward despite them. But when you decide to rise above your weaknesses, you embrace a mindset of self-compassion. You acknowledge your struggles without allowing them to define your self-worth. You forgive yourself for mistakes and understand that growth is not a linear process. Sometimes setbacks are part of the journey, and that's okay. By rising above your weaknesses, you create space for self, love, and acceptance, recognizing that you are a work in progress, a journey in motion, not a finished product. Rising above your weaknesses also fosters a sense of empowerment that radiates outward. When you choose to focus on your strengths and growth, others can't help but notice. People are naturally drawn to those who exude resilience, positivity, and determination. They admire the ability to face challenges head-on and come out the other side stronger. By choosing to rise above your weaknesses, you not only protect your sense of self, but also inspire others to do the same. You become a source of strength and motivation for those around you, creating a ripple effect of empowerment. This, in turn, attracts positive relationships and opportunities into your life, relationships that are built on respect for who you are and the strength you embody. In the end, the choice to rise above your weaknesses is not just about protecting yourself from the negative influence of others' perceptions. It's about creating a life of growth, empowerment, and resilience. When you rise above, you stop being defined by what holds you back and start being defined by your ability to move forward, to learn, and to thrive despite adversity. Your weaknesses become mere stepping stones on the path to greatness, and your inner power shines through. By choosing to rise above, you take control of your story and shape the life you want to live. You create a foundation for success, not just in achieving your goals, but in becoming the person you were always meant to be.